And this is your Election Command Center, and you are with me, Edward Kwabi. Now, an Accra High Court has ordered the Electoral Commission to allow the presidential candidate of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papakwesi Ndum, to correct the mistake on his nomination papers. Justice Eric Chebafo in his ruling said the EC breached its own regulation governing elections, CI 94, by not allowing the PPP flag bearer correct the mistakes on the forms he submitted. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
In the over 1 hour ruling, His Lordship Eric Chebafo dismissed as pedestrian argument by the Electoral Commission that the court had no power to order the commission to perform a certain action because it is an independent institution set up by the Constitution. Dr. Ndum was disqualified from the presidential race along with 12 other aspirants after what the EC termed as anomalies cited in their nomination forms. The EC explained that Dr. Ndum was unable to raise the minimum required number of subscribers to support his nomination. His Lordship Justice Chebafo said the EC breached the rules of natural justice in not affording the candidate a fair opportunity to amend mistakes on his nomination form. One of Ndum's 432 subscribers, Richard Asida, endorsed the nomination papers in 2 separate districts in the Central and Volta regions, the EC said. Lawyers for Dr. Ndum argued the PPP presidential aspirant was not fairly treated because the error could easily be corrected.
It has always been done, except that because Charlotte Osai appears to be very inexperienced, she did not take that into consideration. She merely announced the day that nomination opened, being the 13th of September. She never gave a nomination period. That look, the thing is opening on the 13th, it will close on the 20th. But then the whole nomination period will be up to the 30th. So that having closed it, you can now give them the opportunity within the stipulated nomination period to do the amendment and the alteration. This she failed to do. It is due, in my view, to inexperience, because I'm told, and I know as a fact, that Afarijan Yisi were doing that all the time. This is the first time she failed. In fact, she ought not to have failed, because if you recall, in the Ezenato case, she was reminded that it is only when she has declared a nomination that any Ghanaian who wants to contest as a parliamentarian can go for the form, and not a nomination opened by the political parties.
Lawyers of the PPP are hoping with the limited time available, the EC will stick to its own rules and carry out the orders of the court. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, flag bearer of the PPP, Dr. Papakwesi Ndum, has described his victory as an endorsement of democracy. Now, speaking to a crowd at the court today, Dr. Ndum said he will press on to ensure his name goes into the history books of Ghana.
Tight security at the court complex. Aisha supporters desiring to hear the verdict of the case between the EC and the PPP flag bearer, Dr. Papakwesi Ndum.
But everybody should know that we took this action because the situation was beyond me.
And then later, Dr. Ndum walks out of the court together with his family.
This moment for you, what does it mean for democracy going forward?
Well, it's not a great moment for me. It's a great moment for democracy. It's a great moment for the Republic of Ghana, for our human rights. What this has done, it has said to the state institutions that none of them can disregard the laws that has brought them into being. And I am happy that the courts have told people they cannot act with impunity, that they cannot just disregard the law, they cannot trample on people's human rights, and that it is the people who should decide who should be the president of the Republic, and not somebody sitting at the back room somewhere.
That is a very big history in the making for Dr. Papakwesi Ndum's Progressive People's Party. We've been joined in the studios by Nana Ofori. He is the head of operations for the Progressive People's Party. Obviously, he looks elated before the interview. You are a happy man, I'm sure.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, this day is long in the coming. We have always been steadfast and consistent, and we believe that this opportunity will lend itself to a new chapter in Ghana's history. That, look, when you feel that you have been violated, go to court, seek redress, find a way to get your voice heard. And it's not that people have the final word in terms of our development and what your rights are by law. And people cannot determine political elections sitting somewhere in some back room doing some whatever it is that they are doing and bringing us. And I'm also glad that this has cleared Dr. Indum's name and image. You know, a lot of people were impugning a lot of negative things. And it was very sad indeed that Ghanaians were not ready to let the law take its course and for them to get the final word. And people were impugning if Dr. Indum can't fill a form, he can't be a president. All of these type of negative things. When this man is running multi-billion-dollar businesses all over the world. So to us, we saw it strange, but we are happy that the court has also seen what we have seen.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the ruling and what the justice said before giving the ruling, as a party, how do you receive this news? What does it mean to you?
Well, there is always a silver lining in everything that happens. When this thing happened, I was on record in saying that this is a blessing in the disguise. Why did I say that? If you were giving me $3 million to do a communication plan, to have Dr. Indum's name on the lips of every Ghanaian, to have the PPP being spoken about by old ladies, by clergy, by the average person, by the market seller, by every Ghanaian, 24 million Ghanaians talking about the PPP and Dr. Indum, I could not have done a better job. So this to me was a blessing in disguise. And whenever you are dealt with a blow, review yourself. Take a strategic position, then implement that position. And that's what we did. We saw what happened. We said, oh, it's an opportunity. We are going to the court. We are going to seek redress in the court. We are not going to let an individual tell us what we can and cannot do. Especially we know that they are in violation of the very law that we were looking to implement and go through. So we are glad that the judge, in his brilliance, in his omniscience, is able to see exactly what the argument of the PPP was.
Apart from violating the EC's own laws, the justice did say that it is against rules of natural justice.
Natural justice.
Were you expecting this?
Oh, my brother, but that is what we found. That we said that in the rules of natural justice, you have a right to be heard. My brother, I cannot accuse you. Having accused you, then because I'm making an accusation against you, it is ruled upon on an accusation. And you don't have your day in court. You don't have the opportunity to be able to state your case. This is against a fundamental rule of humanity, that you have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to be heard. And so we could not fathom why the EC, in his wisdom, thought that the PPP should not have an opportunity to go and seek redress. When all the political parties went and sought redress, NPP went and sought redress, NDC went and sought redress, but when it came to the time of the Progressive People's Party, they did not give us this opportunity. They did not afford us this opportunity. And it was clear. And the judge saw that it breached natural justice. And so natural justice means that you and I, we have a right to have our day in court. The PPP has had his day in court. And now Ghanaians wanted Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum back on the ballot to exercise their franchise on Dr. Indum. Because he is African Ultimate Man of the Year. This is the man who has been able to implement and make decisions that others run away from. And this is the man that we are looking for, a bold man, a man who has fearlessness in him. A Progressive People's Party, we are a fearless organization, but we are Davidic in our thoughts because we think strategically. We don't use the Goliath syndrome. We use the Davidic syndrome.
You're becoming emotional.
My brother, this is an emotional battle.
Anyway,
it's
but
very emotional.
Let me remind viewers out there that we're trying the lines to reach Mr. Kofi Jakpaso. He is the head of communication for the Electoral Commission to get their reaction to this very issue, and shortly he will get on the phone lines to speak to us. But to you as a party, you have been asked to go back and do some corrections and then refile for you to be considered to run for presidency for this year's elections. What kind of importance are you giving to this very process? How critical are you going to be this time around when you are filling the form?
Brother, we have been too diligent. We have done our work. You understand? That's what I'm telling you. I am putting on record that the MPP was called back by the EC to make 4 corrections in their errors. The NDC was called back to make 5 corrections in their errors. So how come the PPP are not afforded the opportunity? We don't even believe we had an error. We don't even believe we had an error. But that's another issue to discuss. But we are elated, we are excited, and we believe that Ghanaians are also with us. The market people are saying what they have to say. Carpenters, masons, nurses, entrepreneurs, doctors, engineers, they are all understanding the plight of the PPP. And you know, we have...
I'll hold you there. I'll hold you there and quickly go on to the phone lines because we've been joined on the phone lines by the Executive Secretary, Executive Director, I'm being told, of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. He's in the person of David Agbe. He's going to help us delve into this very issue deeply. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time on News at 10 tonight.
Yes, good evening, Edward.
Hello, sir.
Yes, good evening, Edward.
Very well. Now, you've heard what the justice said. Others argued that the EC should have perhaps given the political parties much more time to do some corrections to their nomination forms. Do you think if the EC had considered this option, we wouldn't have gotten to where we have gotten to today?
Yeah, Edward, thank you so much. I think that, you know, a number of people who have listened to me in this regard, especially I'll make a reference to one of your sister stations on Joy News specifically. The day that Dr. Papa Kwesindum and co. were disqualified, I indicated clearly that Electoral Commission has not done a good job. They could have allowed Dr. Indum and Dr. Edward Mahama, if they've not committed any criminal offense, they should quickly organize so that those people could rectify the mistakes that were actually done. And I think I said clearly that it was just a minor mistake which should have been corrected if Electoral Commission actually engaged Dr. Indum and his party. Those mistakes could be corrected, and I indicated clearly. And so I am so happy that, you know, today the court has actually seen the wisdom that they've been able to draw the line of demarcation between the PPP and the position of the Electoral Commission. So it is a very good one, and it is a useful and convenient, you know, distinction between the position of Electoral Commission and that of a position of the PPP political party. So it's quite good that the PPP, you know, party faithfuls and Dr. Papa Kwesindum and co., they are quite excited at this moment because the essence of politics is about power and people exercising a certain authority and influence over, you know, other group of people. And so if you are excluded or you are being seen as being excluded from that process, it's a very painful exercise, and especially if you have a certain level of wisdom and you want to contribute, you know, your quota to that development processes, and you are being cut off, it's a very painful exercise. So I could say that in that regard, that is why the PPP, you know, director of operation is sounding more emotional, as you said. It is a struggle, and while they've been able to, you know, surmount that struggle, there is a need for them to more like, you know, sound that emotional and have the emotional feeling. So I'm not surprised at all.
Now, Mr. Agbe, you have heard the ruling. Does that open the floodgates for other political parties to take advantage of the system and say, hey, PPP is being given the second chance to go correct anomalies on their forms and come back. You should also give us the same opportunity to go correct the anomalies and come back. Will you say this will give them the opportunity to do so?
I do not, think so. I think that we need to be a bit, cautious here. Dr. Papa Kosindum's case will be quite different from Dr. Edward Mahama or Akuadonko or Kofi Akpalu or Dr. Hassan Ayalga. And so we need to approach it from that perspective that each and every political party has its own case and they have its own charges preferred against them by the Electoral Commission. I do not expect that Akuadonko could just wake up from nowhere and say that she has every legitimate means of contesting, this political battle. Neither do I cannot say that Dr. Edward Mahama, if indeed there has been, a forgery which has been established and which maybe one way or the other, people could say that it is a criminal offense. And so I think that at this point of view, let's leave that one to the legal practitioners, especially the court system, for them to, determine the outcome of that. But as we speak now, I think that Dr. Papa Kosindum and his party has done, a good job, but it does not suggest that other political parties will also take an advantage. They need to be able to weigh the circumstances and be able to approach it from that angle if they could also be successful. But I do not think that many of them will be able to surmount this kind of challenges as it is now.
Grateful for your time tonight on News at 10. We'll be speaking to Mr. David Agbe. He's the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security, I must say, Executive Director of that very institute. Back into the studios, we still have Nana Ofori Owusu. He is the head of operations of the Progressive People's Party. Of course, it's a big victory for them today. Now, what next is your action that you are intending to take? Let's get clear timelines from you. When do you intend to go back to the drawing board, do the necessary corrections to those anomalies raised by the EC, then refile?
We need to take the decision back to the EC. And then when we get back to the EC will have a sitting with the EC as per the directive of the court. And then after that is done, we'll ask for whatever visible anomalies that they think they might have found. We'll correct them, give it to them, and hopefully the process will continue. Tomorrow, the entire PPP family, we are moving towards the central region. We'll be at Kaswa area. Dr. Indum and the team will be in Budumbram.
Is that a victory party of a sort?
It's a victory parade. We believe that God has bestowed upon us this opportunity. Ghanaians have heard our voice. Ghanaians know that we are the credible alternative. Ghanaians know that we are an organized and disciplined institution. Look, we have met all the political parties act regulations. We have offices in 2/3 of the districts. We have filed our returns. We have been able to whatever regulations that is there with the EC, we have met them.
Earlier, there were reports considering the fact that you had so much money and they wanted to find out where you were making your monies from, especially funding of the campaign.
My brother, this thing, have they asked any party? Have they asked the NDC where they got money to build a $20 million
that is an allegation that you can't prove.
It's not an allegation, but don't you know that the NDC's head office is a $20 million project? In 2008, they couldn't pay the electricity bills of $3 million, $4 million. How come they didn't go and ask them? Again, it was not Dr. Indum who paid for parliamentary candidates. It was the PPP. The letter was written to Dr. Indum. The PPP, for which I am part of, we raised our money. By law, the Political Parties Act says that you must file your taxes, your returns to the EC 6 months after December 31st.
And you did
which
so.
means that June 31st, we have been in compliance.
You did so.
2013, 2014, 2015. This year, we filed it May 20th, 2016. We are in full compliance, 1 month ahead of the regulation of the law.
Very well.
So by law, we are in full compliance. And so that's why we don't believe that this kangaroo rich hand activities that is going on. Ghanaians are seeing it. That it is directed against the ultimate man
we are running out of time.
Dr. Papa Kwesi Nkrumah, who is going to lead Ghana out of this cascade of darkness.
Grateful for your time. Nana Ofori Owusu is the head of operations of the Progressive People Party.
And I'm also the candidate for a Futu constituency.
Grateful for your time tonight.
Taken by a storm.
Grateful. We're grateful for your time tonight on News at 10. We'll be speaking to Nana Owusu, Nana Ofori Owusu, head of operations of the Progressive People's Party, and of course, their victory in court today. This is your Election Command Center, and trust us